welcome to another episode of Asexualise My Asexual Life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button down below now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along. This is the second time I've tried to do this video, so I'm really hoping it goes smoothly. My Wi-Fi is not brilliant in my flat, and I don't know if you can hear, but there's storms outside at the moment, so that is not helping. Anyway, I've got a really fantastic episode for you today. It's 25 signs that someone may have sexual intentions for you, even if you think they're just your friend. Some of these signs are very blatantly obvious, and some of them, especially to an asexual person, would not be very obvious, or not to some asexuals. Because we like to think of people as kind of innocent when it comes to sexual stuff. But sadly, a lot of sexuals aren't innocent in that department. And they tend to make that a main focus. So just in case you've come here and this is the first time, I am Sandra Bellamy, author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories. Hello Michael, I've got a great episode tonight. I've prepared some notes as well this time, so it's a very structured one. And I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. So let's crack on with tonight's episode. This is 25 signs. I could have gone on forever. I'm like, I've got to stop writing. Look, I've just like scribbled loads of stuff down for ages. I've got so many signs to share with you that people may have sexual intentions for you, even if you think they are just your friend, okay? And I know this from personal experience. Of course, I'm mostly talking about sexual people here, because there's asexuals. The good benefit of that is when you've got asexual friends, usually they're not wanting sex with you and they're not wanting to do sexual stuff. However, if they're on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, then there are some very, very grey areas there. That's all I will say, because I attract the highly sexual guys and I do attract the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, so the grey sexuals and the demisexuals. And some people I meet in that end of the asexual spectrum can be a lot more sexual in behaviour and intentions, even if they don't want sexual intercourse. Anyway, mostly this is my observation and experience from being around heterosexuals for years and having a lot of heterosexuals interest in me. But this equally applies to any type of sexual, you know, anyone who's basically wanting sexual intercourse. They could be bisexual, pansexual, homosexual, heterosexual. Do you know what I mean? So, it doesn't really matter who you're attracted to. This applies to sexuals in general, especially when you're friends with them. Okay, so some are blatantly obvious and some of them are a lot more subtle. So obviously we'll start with the main thing first, is if they ask you for sex, which is obviously a very obvious one. But they sometimes do this thing of saying they like sex without actually asking for it from you. And obviously that's a huge sign they've got sexual intentions for you. Even if they don't outrightly say, I want sex with you, if they say that they love sex and you're on a date with them, it means they've got sexual intentions for you. Even if you don't want to have sex with them that day, they will want it from you another time. I have to tell you about a friend I had years ago who was attracted to me. I was actually attracted to him. It got a bit complicated because he was an ex-boyfriend. I was in a relationship with someone. The someone went away for 6 weeks, I think it was. And the someone I was in a relationship with went away 6 weeks. He wasn't a good guy anyway, so I think he was seeing women while he was away from me. And I got very close to this ex. But he was technically just meant to be my friend. And the way we behaved together is obviously that our intentions were more than just friends. However, he crossed the line when, as a friend, he asked me to go up to the bedroom with him. So don't think for 1 minute that just because you have a heterosexual or a sexual person who claims to be just friends with you, that they only have platonic intentions for you, because a lot of sexuals don't. I'm not saying everyone's like that, because I had a friend for over 6 years who didn't have any sexual intentions for me, and I didn't for him. So, I mean, obviously I didn't, but I mean, I didn't even have kissing intentions or anything like that with him. And he was actually foreign, younger than me. He was like the age I like, and I guess in terms of looks, like short dark hair and dark skin, he just wasn't, I just didn't pick up that vibe from him. I wasn't interested in him, romantically attracted to him at all. So, you know, just because someone says they're friends with you, if they're a sexual person, just watch out for some of these signs. You know, might have a person who's talking to you a lot about sex, and they're going on and on about it, even though they're not directly involving you. The fact that they're going on and on and on and on about it to you might be that they actually would picture themselves wanting to do that with you, and that's their intention long term, and they may even be trying to change you in some way, like some people try to do with asexuals, as you know, which is really annoying. Like, yeah, they're gonna fix us or something, or that we'll come around, or if we like them so much and care for them so much, we'll change our minds. It's just simply not true, is it? I know some asexuals, they will do stuff to please their partner, but there's a big difference between that and us not wanting to do it and people thinking that they can fix us or change us. It's not good. And also, you might find that if you're, you might find they try to instigate sex with you, which is a really obvious sign they want sex with you. By their actions. So you've got to watch out for that, especially if you go on a date with them, or you go out with them even as a friend and you end up going back to their place as a friend. You've got to be very careful. So that's number one. I've included like about 3 things in number 1. So you can tell there's actually more than 25 things, but I've tried to keep them to 25. But yeah, that was about 3 things there. 1, they ask you for sex. 2, they tell you that they love sex, even though they haven't actually said they want it with you. And the 3rd one was they might try to instigate it with you. So like that guy did, who was my friend, and said, oh, let's go up to the bedroom. He was blatantly wanting sex, even though he's my friend as a teenager and my ex-boyfriend. So and at that time he wasn't my boyfriend because I was in a relationship. So yeah, you have to be very careful, and I have to let you know that this guy went on to have kids by different women, so you can see that his intention was to go up to the bedroom and have sex with me. That's what he meant, not let's play cards or something like that, because I used to spend a lot of time with him and he never said those words to me. I want to go up to the bedroom with you, let's go up to the bedroom with you, like and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, I'm not into that. And that was when I was a teenager. So number 2 is they touch your hips, right? This is a big one. So if they touch your hips, this may be a tickle. They might try and tickle your hips. This might be a pat on the hips, or this might be a stroke on your hips. And they may say that they didn't intentionally tend to do that. Now, if it's a crowded room, yes, and they brush past you, possibly they might not have meant to do it. But if there's not many people in a room, right, and someone comes up to you and is touching your hips, it's because they fancy you and they're sexually attracted to you. That's what it usually means. Okay, they're sexually attracted to you. The hips are a very vivacious part of the body, and that is usually what they're doing it for. I had this so-called friend who was on, he's not a good friend, right? He was at college and he was, 1 minute he was nice to me, the next minute he wasn't nice to me. And he was off and on like that. And I lost in contact with him and I can't remember what happened, but somehow I managed to come across him again years later when he was older. And I went to his home and we were sat in the lounge. I was sat on a chair and he was sat on a sofa, separate. And there was only me and him in the whole room, right? This is his lounge. And he stood up, he was like touching my hips. And I said to him, why are you doing that? And he tried to make me feel bad about it, that I was overreacting, that there was no need to do that. It was perfectly fine for him to touch my hips. It's like, it's not okay for someone to touch your body parts, any body parts, if you don't want them to, you know? And I know even now that he's a really, you know, abusive guy in that way, because he, like, for a long time throughout college, 1 minute he was nice to me, the next minute he was not. And that's not a nice person who does that, you know? They should treat you with respect the whole time. So be very careful. In pubs as well, you might find that someone comes and tickles your hips or touches you, which usually means they fancy you, you know. And if you're in, you know, if you're in a nightclub or you're out dancing or you're out somewhere, and maybe it's even a concert, you know, if it's like they've got their head on the screen and they just happen to knock into you, that's different. But if they intentionally go to touch you, that's the thing, you see, you've got to work out whether it's intentionally or not. If there's a way that they could have avoided it, especially if it's an obvious way, then, you know, it's kind of like pretty much certain that they fancy you and they just wanted to touch you. But if they're like, you know, if it's a crowded room, they're trying to get past you, they might just push you aside, which is like quite normal in a crowded pub or club, you know, in a pub or club, because I go clubbing sometimes, you know, you do get touched. And, you know, it took me a while to get used to that, because it's like, I don't like being touched really, but I've got used to it more. So I kind of like, if someone's got their hand and they're touching my side, for example, but they're waiting at the pub, say it was a bar, or we're at the club and there's a bar and like everyone's crowding around the bar, like everyone's pushing to get drinks, then they're going to touch the side of me because I'm used to that. But obviously if their hands go from, like, if they're facing the bar and they're heading that way and they're just pushing, I know their intention. But if someone's coming up behind me and doing that when they don't need to be doing that, then I know that it's because they want some touching, basically. Another one, number 3, they put their hand on your inner thigh. This is a really, really big giveaway that they want sex with you. The inner thigh is one of the most erogenous zones of the body. So if you are talking about lovemaking or sex, or you don't want the sexual intercourse, but you're talking about doing lots of other physical stuff to the body, one of the very sensual things of the body is, because it's an erogenous zone, is to touch the inner thigh of both a man and a woman. And that kind of gets them turned on and aroused. So that is why they do that, because they're trying to turn you on and arouse you, because they fancy you and want sex with you, usually. Obviously, some asexuals, you know, who are on the more sensual side, might do that without the intercourse, but it might still arouse them. Do you know what I mean? So they might be doing that for arousal, you know? So, because some asexuals are fine to be aroused. So, even though they don't want the intercourse, because they just like the feeling of arousal, you know? So I'm not saying some asexuals may not exhibit a few of these behaviours, but this is like, you know, when someone's got sexual intentions for you. But obviously some asexuals, they are more on the sexual end of the spectrum. They do have sexual behaviour. So they've still kind of got some sexual intentions for you, but it's not the full sex intentions. So number 4, they start to hold hands with you very quickly because they want to touch you. They want their hands intertwined with you because they're very sexually attracted to you. So it was weird though. I have to say, something really weird happened. So I was with my friend in the pub a few weeks ago, and I saw my job centre advisor, and he came over to say he was going out of the pub, about to go out of the pub. And he saw me and said, "Oh, hi, what are you doing here?" and started holding my hands. That was very, very in front of me. Not as in a relationship down my side, but that was very weird. I'm like, do you fancy me? Because that is very, very bizarre. I'm not used to, especially at a job centre. But obviously he was off duty because it was in a pub, but it was very bizarre. He was just holding my hand for ages. But, you know, so you can get people who do very strange behaviours, but yeah, so if a guy is chatting to you, he likes you, he's very friendly with you, or a girl, and they're trying to hold your hand very quickly, it's because they really want to date you. Usually they want to be in a relationship with you. You know, if you meet a friend, for example, all of a sudden they start holding your hand, you know that they've got more than friendship in mind for you, usually. You know, obviously there are exceptions to the rule. So if you're really, really upset, for example, and you're crying and in a traumatic state, they might hold your hands to calm you down because they're a good friend of yours. So they might take your hands in theirs. I've done that. There was one asexual friend I did that with. Mind you, he did like me a little bit. But because he said I'd date you if my and your needs were the same, but they're not. This is a long time ago. So, you know, I did hold his hand. He was talking about something very, very traumatic. So, you know, there's certain instances where you may hold someone's hand, but you have to look at the circumstances that's under. But if, you know, like say you're going out with a friend and you're having a huge day trip out with them and you got on really, really well, there's no need to hold hands with that person, is there, if you're not in a relationship with them? But if they take your hand, say, over dinner and they start holding it, or they go to grab your hand, it's because they want a relationship with you. But with a sexual person, they can kind of take that, they can kind of want to hold your hand because they want to lead you quickly into getting very comfortably close to them physically, so it can lead on to sex. So you have to see the environment that this is done in, why you think it's been done, the reasoning behind it. But obviously, if someone goes to hold your hand, unless it's under sort of, like I said, some traumatic circumstance, they're trying to calm you down, you know, like, one of my asexual friends, he actually injured his finger, his thumb, when we were out shopping. So I held ice, or I asked the manager for some ice, and I held ice on his thumb to calm his thumb down. It's a good job we get on really well, because I end up holding his hand and I said, oh, we should hold hands more often, shouldn't we? It's a joke. But yeah, but I mean, me and him get on really, really so well that we've got that trust there that I can do that for him, and he trusted me like that, and it was fine. And he's got some special needs, so he kind of needed me to do that. And I have got this kind of little bit of mother thing, like I want to take care of people even though I don't want any kids, you know. I kind of got the like, I just love looking after people, you know, making sure. I've always been like, if someone's injured, like, quick, get them some cream, or put it under cold water, or make sure they're all right. It's like natural instinct for me to want to take care of someone and for them to be healthy and happy. It's just like part of who I am. So obviously there's times when you hold hands, but what I'm talking about is if you're like, say you've gone out on a date, or say you've been with a friend and they start holding your hand when you've been out for the day, and there's no other reason that just they want to hold your hand because they want to feel close to you, they want to be bonded with you. You know, when you start holding hands, it's kind of like, how can I put it? Like, so when you get physically close to someone, right, you start sort of intertwining your bodies a bit more when you're closer, don't you, in a relationship? Like when you're in bed together, you cuddle, you know. So holding hands is a way of getting physically close to someone. You're intertwining your hands, so you're kind of getting some physical pleasure out of that person, even though you're not having the sex, if you know what I mean. But if a sexual person does that to you, it's usually going to lead on to, you know, them wanting sex with you. And they might try and do that very quickly if you're on a night out, because they want things to lead very, very quickly to sex. So you have to be careful of that one. They put their hand on your knee. So say you're in a pub and you're chatting away, and all of a sudden this girl or guy starts putting their hand on your leg or your knee. So I'm not talking, so obviously the inner thigh, you know what the inner thigh is, don't you, near your groin area? And then the knee, you know, it can be further down, or even, you know, your leg just above your knee, especially if they start rubbing it. That is a very sexual thing. You know, if they start rubbing it, it's because they want sex with you. So they're kind of rubbing it because they're fancying you, they're getting aroused while they're doing it, and they're enjoying that, you know? So if they do that, that's a sign sexual and have sexual intentions for you. Again, you know, if you're in a relationship with someone, actually in a relationship with someone, and they're doing that to you, you know, you can have some people that are sensual, like asexuals, and who are, you know, doing this stuff for the sensual without the intercourse. But I'm talking about if you're around sexual people and they're doing this stuff to you, it's because they want sex with you. And obviously you might not know if a person's asexual or not, but a lot of these signs are giveaways that they're not asexual, especially as asexuals will probably likely do this stuff more in a relationship if they were going to do it, you know. They wouldn't normally just go to someone that they're not in a relationship with, start doing this stuff, unless they intentionally want to be in a relationship with that person. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but, you know, it's different with asexuals because they've got different intentions. But, you know, I mean, I've not put a hand on any asexual guy's knee. Do you know what I mean? Even ones I fancied, I just don't do stuff like that. I'd more likely want to tell them how I feel about them first. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. So, you know, I'm not saying that asexuals, like when they get in a relationship, you know, they might start holding hands, they might go to hold the other, but if you both know you're asexual to start off with and you're sure about that, then, you know, that's okay if you want the friendship to progress to a relationship and hold that hand because you want that physical contact. 6, they eye your body up and down. This is a classic one. This is a classic, right? A lot of sexual people that want sex with you will eye you up and down like this. If you're a woman, they will pay particular attention to your breasts, sadly. They will zoom in on that, like. And then if you're a guy, you might find that some women, you know, like they're looking at your penis area, basically, you know, to see how big you are and stuff like that. It's just, it's kind of gross to me because I'm not interested in male anatomy like that. But, you know, that's what they might be doing. Or if you've got your top off, then they'll be eyeing up your chest, which I don't think that many asexual guys have their top off, to be fair. It's more like sexuals do. So if for example you're a female and you're interested in guys and the guy starts taking his top off, you know, and go, oh, it's hot in here, that's another sign that he has got sexual intentions for you. And I didn't even put that one on here. Okay, 7, they are fixated on a sexual part of your body. Oh, I've just said this along with they eye your body up and down, so they're actually fixated on it. Right, so I put fixated on a sexual part of your body, for example, your breast or penis, especially if they try to put their hands near that part of your body to almost touch it, or for them to actually touch it. Okay, so they might, you know, like say you're out dancing. I know this is, I'm just generalizing because a lot of asexuals, they're introverts, so they wouldn't go out dancing, but say you're out dancing and a guy is dancing with you. Well, you might want to go ballroom dancing, might you? That might be more of an asexual type of dance. Very stereotyping here. I'm not. I go clubbing. I enjoy clubbing. But I have done ballroom dancing in the past, you know. And say, you know, like some ballroom dancers are very sexual, aren't they? Like the tango and salsa is kind of sexy dancing. So, you know, the sexual person might start, you know, again, touching you, like trying, you know, like when they're dancing with you, trying to touch the sides of your breasts. Oh god, I'm trying to really do the actions here, sorry. I'm forgetting what calm down. So when they're touching the sides of your breasts, you know, if you're dancing, I get a lot of sexual guys trying to do stuff like that to me when I'm out clubbing. You know, if I'm dancing with the foreign guys, you know, they're always trying to, instead of keeping their hands around my back, which is what I love, they're trying to go to the sides of my breast because they want to touch my breast somehow, and I'm stopping them from touching it the full frontal bit because I'm not comfortable with that, especially when I don't know them. I'm not in a relationship with them, so they try and touch it on the side instead. They'll try and get away with what they can. Do you know what I mean? You have to move their arms back or not bother dancing with them anymore. But you know, you can get that in other types of dancing. Like I said, you know, the tango, salsa, you get someone touching your hips, which leads closer to your private parts, and again their hands can wander nearer it because they are sexually touching you in effect, and they're wanting sex from you. So number 8, they are keen to do physical activities with you where sexual body parts are touching or where your bodies are super physically close. So this could be a lot of different things. They could, for example, I mean, I've mentioned the dancing. That's a very, very, when you have a lot of bodily contact. What else could I say? I mean, obviously there's massaging. Like if they start saying, I'll massage you, that is usually because they want it to lead on to sex. That's what they usually do that for. you know, because it's a very sensual, I mean, it is a sensual thing, but, you know, if you're not in a relationship with them and they're wanting to massage you, that's usually because they want it to, like, you know, a massage is part of foreplay usually when people have sex, you know, if they're good at doing sex. So someone who's not good at doing sex just wants to stick it in. Someone who's good at doing sex will want to do the foreplay, will want to do the touching, the kissing, the sensual stuff, which some asexuals might enjoy the sensual part of it, the foreplay, but not the actual intercourse, because the foreplay is a lot more sensual if they're doing it correctly and if they're giving a lot of time to it. So one of the foreplay things is, like, people might get some oils and rub it on your back, and obviously they're rubbing all down your body, so they're touching like near your bum. Even if they don't actually touch your bum, they'll be touching around the shape of it, which to most people who are, you know, if you're sexual, for example, that would turn you on. And even if you're not sexual, if you're asexual that gets highly aroused, when they touch around your bum and places like that and touch round your breast, that might turn you on, you know, make you aroused, even though you don't want the intercourse, even if you're asexual. So, but they usually have sexual intentions for you. They're touching round all your body because they want that body. They want it in them or to be in it. Do you know what I mean? So this is what goes on. So, you know, so they might, you know, there's some other activities, I'm sure, like, I don't know, they might want to go swimming with you so they can see you in your swimming costume, and you be in a jacuzzi with you so they can cuddle up to you in the jacuzzi nearly naked and stuff like this. Do you know what I mean? So you got close body contact. They might want to be in a sauna with you. What else can I think of? You know, like swimming, you know, it depends where you're swimming. You know, again, because they can see you in sort of a sexual way. I'm sure there's a lot of activities, you know. There might be activities even when you're out in the outdoors, like if you're camping. You know, they snuggle up to you and the cold's outside. It's like, let me keep you warm type thing. So, you know, yeah. And that moves nicely on to number 8. They want a lot of body contact with you and can't keep their hands off you whenever they see you. So yeah, whenever they see you, they will literally have their hands going all over you if they want sex with you. They'll be touching you like you know, like I've mentioned before about the hips and stuff, but they might be doing a lot of different things. Like one minute they might be touching your hips, the next minute they might be holding your hand, the next minute they might be stroking your hair, the next minute they might be touching your thigh, you know, and they're just doing lots and lots of stuff, like all, and it's like, whoa, this is just getting too much now. You know, and they're just, you know, they're constantly wanting to touch you all the time. They're really touchy-feely. Obviously some people are naturally touchy-feely people, but a lot of, if it's a sexual person, a lot of the time when they are touchy-feely, it will be because they, you know, they're highly sexually driven, and a lot of the time they'll want sex with you. I'll just give them catnip and send them on their merry way. That's funny. Okay, nice to see you, Heather. Thanks for joining me. Michael's here still, I think, and someone else. So, right, thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah, do give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, because I did take a lot of time over this. Right, 10. They make a specific point of texting you. They are taking a hot shower. Okay, so this is a more subtle one. You know, if you ever get someone who's become your friend online, for example, and it's a very recent friend particularly, and they go, oh, hi, I'm just texting you, but I've got to go in and take a hot shower. A hot shower, like they're basically picturing you in the shower with them, naked. They fancy you, they want sex with you. They have no need to tell you those words usually. Now, I'm not saying that this can never happen with someone not intentionally saying that, right? But a lot of the time, when it's a sexual person, especially if they haven't known you very long and it's on the internet particularly, then, you know, they'll go, oh, hi, they, you know, oh, I'm just going to take a hot shower. Like, why do you need to know they're taking a shower, first of all? And secondly, why have they used the word hot shower? Hot has sexual connotations, as you probably know. If it was just a friend, you know, and they were chatting away to you and text, they might say, you know, like sometimes I say, look, I've got to take a shower now. I've got to go out, or I need to take a shower now, you know. It'd be like, I need to take a shower, not, oh, I'm taking a hot shower now. Do you know what I mean? It's a different way of wording it and a different tone entirely. So like sometimes I have text someone so much and it's like we're in the middle of a conversation. I'm saying, I'm really sorry, I have to go because I've got to jump in the shower. Like, especially if I've got to go into the city. So I've got to go jump into the shower and then go out, you know? So, but you know, if they just randomly text you that's a very good sign they're sexual, especially if they do it on the internet, especially. Right. So, 11. Yep. This is similar, but not exactly the same. They make a specific point. They are lying in bed thinking about, or on the bed thinking about you. And it's specifically to do with the bed that they emphasize because, again, the bed is usually used for sex. So when they go, oh, I'm lying on the bed thinking about you, you know, if it's a sexual person doing that, then a lot of the time it will mean they're thinking about having sex in the bed with you while you're not with them. That's what it means. Okay? So if it's an asexual person saying, oh yeah, I'm on the bed just texting you, you know, that might be what they say. But if it's a sexual person going, oh, I'm on the bed texting you, it's because the bed is the significant bit for them because they have sex in it. That's what it means. So it means they have sexual intentions for you. Usually, okay? So 12, they tell you in a text. Oh, this is a disgusting one, right? So close your ears. What if they text you while on the toilet? Well, they wouldn't need to tell you that, would they? So loads of people text on the toilet actually, but they wouldn't tell you that. If they're starting to tell you that, then obviously they have got sexual intentions. Right, this is actually a disgusting one that's very similar to the toilet one you just came up with. But this is a very, very disgusting one. But I have had friends do this. Sexual friends who fancy me, okay? So this is a very disgusting one. So be prepared. So I have to give a warning for this. So basically, they tell you in a text that they're getting hard over you. Yes, I've had so-called friends who are sexual friends telling me this. I've had people who are even asexual telling me stuff like this as well. So they'll say, they'll also, rather than using just the word hard, they'll say stuff like, thank you, Michael, great moderator tonight, thank you, I need you on this particular episode, it's really important. So yeah, so they might also use the words, instead of using the word hard, which I hate that word, they might say something like, oh, something is happening down below. Oh, right, you deleted your own comment. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because this is an asexual channel, so I like to keep it as clean as possible. So, yeah, so, or something is happening down below, and they want you to know it. So, yeah, I've had guys say this to me as well, like, oh, while you're talking to me, stuff's happening down below. It's like, I know what they're talking about. You know, they're getting aroused with me talking to them. It happens quite a bit, actually, even with some so-called asexual guys, which I'm not even sure if they're really asexual. But, you know, I know asexuals can get aroused, so it's possible. But, you know, if you're getting texts like that and then they keep going on and on about it, a lot of the time, you know what I mean, they're just after you physically, which is no good, whether they're asexual or sexual. If they want you physically and they don't like your personality, they just want you to arouse them all the time. It's just disgusting. It's not a relationship, you know, don't be around that. Go from it. 13, they are eager for you to be able to, they are eager for you to be alone with them, and the sooner the better. So yeah, if you're particularly on a date with someone, you know, they're going to be very, very eager to get you alone, and very, very quickly, because when they're alone with you, they think that it's going to lead on to sex and they can persuade you to have it. So they'll be very, very super keen for you to be alone really quickly with them. Like, I've met guys before. I met a guy dancing, and I did go and have lunch with him and a drink, and I said I just want to be friends. He said yeah, that's fine, but already when I just met him, he was talking about me going watching TV over his place, and I didn't feel comfortable that at all. In actual fact, he turned out to be a right jerk. he called his friend, and his friend, I wasn't sure he'd seen me or he'd seen his friend. And then when his friend came, he started lying to his friend. He wanted to rope me into it. So I just messaged him afterwards saying, I don't want another date with you on Saturday. Well, friendship date, whatever. I don't want to see you again on Saturday. I wanted to see you at all. You know, it's not a good guy who does that. So, you know, just be very, very careful of that. They want to get you alone because they want to persuade you to have sex with them. That's what that means. There's no need for them to get you alone quickly if they're just your friend, is it? You know, I have friends that I've known for years that have never been to my flat. My best female friend I've known for over 6 years. She has never been to my flat here, ever. I think, well, it's more like 6.5, getting on 7 years now. She's never come around here. You know, all my friends I usually see outside of my flat. My flat hasn't got a sofa or anything in it. I'm sat on a stool now. My bed's behind, and I have a camping chair. You know, so most of the place to sit is my big bed. You know, and that's not really appropriate for me to sit on the bed with just a friend. You know, like, I'm not saying it'll never happen, because, you know, if I did have a friend round, they'd probably sit there and watch movies because the TV's directly in front of it. But it's a very kind of romantic setting, or to a sexual setting, you know. So that's why I don't usually have people coming back, because it's not very comfortable and it's not really appropriate. But when you know, you have to make do with what you've got. And I do love my flat. It's gorgeous. It's great for one person, which I love being. So, number 14. This is really clever. Let me just drink some water. They say, let's be friends with a cheeky smile and a wink. So when you're talking to them and you're like, oh no, I'm not interested in a relationship, I'm just interested in being friends, they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. That means that they're not just going to be your friend, all right? They fancy you. They probably want sex with you. That's what it means. If they're giving you a cheeky smile and they're giving you a wink, the wink means, yeah, but we know different, don't we? Do you know what I mean? That's what it's saying. It's like you're saying something, but you're not really saying it. It's going in one ear and out the other. You're just saying it because you're saying it to be polite, not because you mean it. Wink, wink, nudge, you know, nudge, nudge. That's because they don't believe you. They think that you are just like, it's part of the flirty process, part of the dating process, and that's what they're doing. So if you get any people that say they'll just be your friend and they're sexuals, be very, very careful how they say it. Listen to their tone of voice, watch their facial expression. It's really, really important. If they're winking at you, it means that they don't believe you. It's not true. They're just saying it, yeah, let's pretend we're friends, but really we know we're not, you know? So be very, very careful of that. 15. This is quite sad, but it's true. They actively pursue a relationship with you and won't take no for an answer. And this is particularly true of sexuals. Sadly, in my experience, asexuals don't tend to pursue much at all. It's kind of like sex is not involved, so they don't need to pursue, which is kind of crazily not great, in my opinion. But I understand it. But yeah, it seems to me that sexuals are the only ones that actually pursue. And they pursue, you know, they're like in hot pursuit. But they're in pursuit because they want sex with you. So they will message you, you know, they will contact you more. They want to see you, want to spend time with you. But their intention is sex. And I kind of think that's a bit sad. I do think that's one thing that's sad to do with asexuals versus sexuals, is that, you know, if I want to have some guy pay a lot of attention to me and to pursue me, it usually means that it'll be a sexual guy doing that, not an asexual guy. And I just think that's so bad, because it's like, why does sex need to be involved for a guy or girl to want to pursue the person? Why? In my case, guy, because I'm not interested in girls, you know? It just seems ludicrous. It seems like, oh, you know, it's like, well, doesn't matter, does it? I'm fine on my own. Yeah, I'm fine on my own. I'm happy on my own. But if I want a relationship with someone, I want to put a lot of time, energy and effort into them. I want to talk to them on the phone. I want to Skype them. I want to see them. I want to text them, you know, because they're important in my life, and I'm pursuing them for the connection rather than for the sex, you know. I'm pursuing them to because I want something meaningful with them. Obviously, if they're not interested, I do take no. If someone says they're not interested in me, then that's it. They're not interested in me. I move on. You know, but with a sexual person, they won't usually take no for an answer. They'll be persistent and consistent because they think everyone wants sex with them, you know, God's gift to women and all that, like if they're a guy. Or why would you resist me, you know? And that's not that, it then becomes abusive. If you've said no several times, you know, and you mean it, you know, they should be listening to you and respecting that. But you know, I even have a friend though, well, he used to be my friend in my old job, and he actually pursued his girlfriend for years, and he said he stalked her until she gave in and was his girlfriend. But they've been together for like, what, 7 years? And they're gonna get engaged. I think he got engaged to her this year, and they're gonna get married. So I mean, like, you know, just because someone does pursue someone all the time doesn't mean to say they don't end up being together. But I wouldn't recommend it, you know. If someone says no, I mean, obviously some people just aren't ready yet, and then you can wait for them if you think that. But you know the type, don't I? The sexuals, they come on, like, I get them a lot on Facebook, you know, they'll come and I'll say I'm not interested, and then they'll start hearting me, messaging me more and carrying on, and I tell them I'm asexual, and then they'll start saying they might even start saying stupid things like, oh well, we can, like, you know, we don't have to have sex, we can do other sexual things. It's like, of course you want sex with me, God, because she wouldn't be going on about sex stuff else. Anyway, number 16, they keep coming into your work or bumping into you accidentally on purpose. This is something a lot of sexual people who are really hot on the trail and pursuing someone do. They will accidentally bump into you. They will keep coming into your work so they can just get a glimpse of you or see you. Obviously, you could get some romantic people like this as well. If you had a really, really romantic guy or person, you could get them, you know, like wanting to see you a lot, wanting to bump into you, because that's kind of a romantic thing as well. But it's usually behaviour done mostly by sexual people. So yeah, so if they're accidentally bumping into you on purpose, you know, it's because they want a relationship with you for a start. If they're a sexual person, that means they'll usually want a sexual relationship with you. Number 17, society should learn there is more ways about love instead of sex. I know, Heather. I totally agree with you. 17, this is a huge one that I know a lot about. They give off sexual energy. So yeah, I don't think asexuals in general understand it. I seem to be one of the few people that talks about sexual energy from sexuals. A lot of asexuals don't. I haven't heard other asexuals talk about that. I heard there was one person on Avon that started talking about it, saying asexuals are different with their sexual energy. Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say the people that are sexual give off sexual energy. That's how you know they're sexual, because they give off this sexual energy because they want sex with you. You can feel it. And it's because it's the sexual energy is sexual attraction. And they want sex with you, which is different to asexuals, because in the general, we don't want sex. So we don't give off that sexual energy. So I said, unless they're on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, then they might give off some sexual energy. And it was in a thread that was to do with grey asexuals. So, you know, but as a general rule, I wouldn't say, well, I'd say that's a major difference. And we think differently as well. But yeah, they give off sexual energy. So I can feel what it's like to have sexual attraction, because I receive it. Do you know what I mean? So it's really weird to explain. I know what sexual attraction is because I've received it loads of times throughout all the half of my life where heterosexuals have been with me or attracted to me. I can feel the sexual energy. So although I'm not sexually attracted to people myself, I can feel that from them, that they're sexually attracted to me. It's like I'm a reciprocator, you know, not reciprocator because that's when you do it back. I'm a receiver of it, you know? It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird. It's like when, I don't know, if you punch a punch bag, you're, you know, like your fist impression might be in that punch bag. The punch bag will feel the impact of your fist, even though the punch bag is a punch bag and the fist is a fist. If you know what I mean, they're two different things. But the punch bag feels the impact of the fist. So I can feel the impact of the sexual energy, even and the sexual attraction towards me, even though I'm not actually sexually attracted to them back. So the sexual energy is like a very, how can I describe it? It's a very like intense feeling from their end, and it's kind of like you can just feel it. You can just feel like their body is like wanting sex, and it's like, it's a really weird feeling, but I'm used to it. So it's kind of like I've got used to it over the years. So it's kind of like but when I say I'm used to it, I mean that's why I had to go and see a counsellor, because I was wetting myself nearly every time I was dating guys back in 2014. I couldn't do it anymore because I could just feel the sexual energy and just the expectation of sex that went with that. And that's what it is, you know, when they give off this sexual energy, you can feel that their expectation is they're going to have sex with you at the end of the day, at the end of the night, or very soon, whenever they can. And that, you know, that's what they're working up towards. And that when they want to spend time with you and see you, it's really because they want sex with you. And so, you know, it's very difficult to describe the sexual energy, but I can feel it all the time from them. There's a few sexual people I don't get it from, which is good. Because obviously if they don't, you know, they're not sexually attracted to me, then, you know, not everyone is. Just that I attract those that are a lot of the time. But so they are literally just a friend, and obviously there's no sexual energy. Like I told you, there's a guy I was friends with for over 6 years, and me and him were just friends. There's no sexual energy from him whatsoever. But he wasn't that into women as well, which was good. Okay, number 18. They look at others' body parts in a sexual manner. So I've covered they look at yours, but do they observe other people's? So say you're having a meal in a restaurant, right? There's nothing more annoying than their attention is not on you and elsewhere. And if you look where their eyes are going, for example, if I'm with a guy, I'm sat there having food, talking to him, and he's looking behind me, and clearly there's a girl, for example, walking behind me, and she's got like a top on with her boobs protruding through it, and she's walking past behind me, and he's looking at her, and his eyes are going in her direction with her boobs. It's obvious he's sexually attracted to her, and he's a sexual being, and he wants sex, you know. And if he's on a date with me and he's looking at her like that, what do you think he's going to want to do with me? Do you know what I mean? He's sexually attracted to lots of women. He wants a woman for sex, basically. That's what it means. So, you know, when you are out with your sexual friends, observe what they're doing, you know? If they are definitely 100% just your friend, then they might not think of you in that way. But if you're on any type of date with them, or then they're likely going to want sex with you, basically. 19, they are chatting you up and others too. So some asexuals are like, what's chatting up? So chatting up is when they're very overly friendly and their body language, you know, like, so for example, they could be like, hi Ivan, nice to see you. So for example, they could be like, you know, like this type of pose, you know, like, and they're chatting you up, and they're looking at you deep into the eyes, and they're saying, okay, so tell me more about, you know, so they're doing a bit of a sexual pose at the same time. So, you know, tell me more about you. Yeah. And maybe they're not even that really listening to you that much, but they're just going, yeah. And then they're all of a sudden they'll pick up on a word you say, and they're like, oh, I love that too. And they'll be really over the top when they're chatting you up. They'll go, oh, so tell me more about you. Then they'll start looking into your eyes, you know, more like this. And they'll be like, really? Oh, that's fabulous, isn't it? Oh, really? Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, it's so lovely. Oh yeah. Oh really? That's fantastic, you know. And they're really engrossed in you, and they're really chatting you up, and they're paying you specific attention. They're giving you compliments. They're really making a big deal of you in front of everyone, maybe. You know, it's not your birthday or anything. They're just making a big deal of being with you. They're making big gestures with their hands. Their body is like, you know, they're really, you know, their body language is very big, very bold. You know, I mean, you can't see how I'm sat at the moment, but basically I've got trousers on, but basically, you know, I'm sat with my legs crossed and I'm looking at you guys like this. So, oops, sorry. You know, so it's the way they're sat, and they're looking deep into your eyes, and they're chatting you up. So they'll be overly interested in your hobbies, your interests. They'll be overly interested in you, you know, making big gestures. So chatting up is basically like you can imagine a friendly conversation, can't you, with two friends who just got to know each other. But instead of it just being kind of like relaxed, laid back, and, you know, oh, that's really nice, it'll be full on, like very intense. The body language will be intense. The talking will be intense. The tone will be intense. The body will be turned in towards you because they're chatting you up. They will be paying specifically attention to you if they're chatting you up, and usually if it's a sexual doing that, they want sex with you. They might also be chatting other people up, which is so annoying because it means they want sex with loads of people then, which, you know, a lot of sexuals do. So maybe you've gone to the toilet, right? You're on a date with them and you've gone to the toilet. And when you come back from the toilet, you find that they're chatting up another person, you know? They're doing the same thing they did with you, but they're doing this with the other person. But as soon as they see you, they might stop and go, oh, hi, honey, or oh, hello, you know, and pretend it's not happening. But you've heard it. You heard them go, oh, that's lovely, you know, to this other person. So you've caught them out, basically. So, and the 20 is very similar. That they are flirting, right? So chatting up is part of flirting process, but flirting is also not just the chatting up, it's the touching, and both at the same time, like. So they might be going, not only are they crossing their legs are very turned in towards you, that's their body language, they're chatting you up, they've got these big bold eyes, they're like really oogling over you, and then they're over the top, touchy and nice as well. They're flirting with you. They're going, you know, and they might be going, you know, they might be grabbing your hand and stroking your hand, going, oh yeah, tell me more. Oh, really, baby? Oh, that's amazing. Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah, I like doing that too. Oh, yeah, we should go do that sometime, baby. And stuff like this. They might even be using this type of language, right? Which maybe a lot of asexuals. Hi, Michael. Thank you very much for being a moderator tonight. I've got 5 more to go. So anyway, I see you. Nice to see you. So the flirting is usually the chatting up with the touching as well, and all the body language. It's a whole thing together. So the chatting up is part of the flirting, but the flirting is also the touching as well. So for example, years ago, before I got with my ex, we were like meant to be friends, and we fancied each other at the time, and we were playing pool around a pool table, you know, like snooker but pool. And when we were going around the table, sorry about the lag on this. When we were going around the table, you know, he was saying flirty comments to me. He was saying some sexual innuendo stuff to me as well. So when someone's being flirty with you, although they're not asking you directly for sex, they might be using some sexual innuendo, some sexual joking, referring to sexual body parts as part of a joke or innuendo. And so, that they might even not refer to body parts. They might say, oh yeah, like, say I can't remember what I was doing. I know I was playing pool with my ex and we were saying stuff. I can't remember what we said. It was a long time ago. I really don't like him, so I don't really want to carry on talking about him. But for example, using that particular pool example, say someone goes, I'm hot, I'm on fire tonight, baby. They might be talking about the game, but they're also looking at you because they fancy you and they're flirting with you at the same time, referring kind of like, I'm hot and on fire, but I'm hot and on fire because I fancy you and want sex with you as well. Do you see what I mean? So it's kind of two-tone. Like, one, the game's going on, and, they might say stuff like, oh yeah, I'd like you to play with my balls. That is really flirting, all right? But that's what sexual speak is like. When you're playing with the pool balls, they'll be like, oh, I wouldn't mind you playing with my balls, And that is sexual talk. That's really hugely flirting. Very, very sexual talk. And, that's part of the whole flirting process. So you might be doing activities together, but sexual innuendo, sexual talk is coming into it. Touching, over the top talking, over, body language is zooming in on you. The person's very focused on you. And, you're like, like everyone else is like, they're drowned out over the way that person is being with you, if you know what I mean. They're not interested in them. They're paying particular attention to you. So, in that instance, so yeah, that's a big sign that they want sex with you. They want it to lead, that situation to lead on to sex later on. 21. They are keen to take you out for meals and spend money on you, buy you drinks, because they usually expect sex in return. Yeah, so if you've got a person who is sexual and they're your friend and they are, you know, a gender that you would usually be attracted to each other, and they're always wanting to take you out, buy you drinks, spend money on you, just be very careful, because a lot of the time they expect sex in return. Even though they don't say it, that's what they're up to, you know? Okay, so it's okay for friends to buy drinks for each other occasionally, or people to go halves and halves, people to, like, you know, buy a round of drinks one week, you know, the other person buy a round of drinks the other week, you know, that type of thing's fine. But when, so for example, if I get a guy who I've met in a bar and he wants to buy me a drink, you know, I might accept, you know, but he might buy me a lot of drinks, but that's usually because he wants sex with me. You know, I might just enjoy the drinks, but, you know, that's where he's wanting it to go. He's spending time with me, spending money on me, because it's like him investing in me as a person, spending time with me. Investment, it's like investing in sex. It's horrible to say that, but sadly that's the way a lot of the sexuals think. They will buy you drinks and, you know, I mean, they can't get me drunk because I don't drink alcohol, and I usually go to the bar with them, so they can't spike my drink or anything like that. Be very careful if you're out on dates that they don't spike your drink. But go with them, pay for it yourself, or if they're buying you drinks, make sure you're there when they buy it. You do not want them spiking your drink and taking you, date raping you or something like that. Sorry, I had to say that. Sounds horrible, but it does go on, so be very, very careful. So, you know, I'm at the bar, you know, usually with the person, you know, while I get my drink. So, I'm, you know, if I'm not at the bar, I'm watching them intensely and watching what the woman's doing behind the bar, because I'm very, very near, very, very close. So, it's very, very super important that, yeah. So, but, you know, a lot of the time they'll spend a lot of money on you because that's what they want. You know, when I'm out with my friends, like, for example, when we go to asexual meetups, I insist everyone buys their own stuff usually. You know, I mean, if a person wants to buy me a drink, you know, I have had cases at meetups where sometimes a person has said, you know, like, I want to buy you a drink, you know, what drink do you want? And they're buying a round of drinks, they just want to do that. But, you know, as long as they don't expect one back, because I'm not the type of, I mean, I haven't got a ton of money at the moment, and I prefer most of the time for me to buy my own stuff and them to buy their own stuff. I just like it. It's clean cut. There's no one says I owe you a drink, I owe you a drink, you know. If someone buys me a drink, that's up to them, but, you know, I don't want them to expect one back, and that's not why people should buy stuff in the first place. But if sexuals are doing that, and you're on a night out and you meet the person and they're constantly buying you drinks and stuff, a lot of the time it's to have sex with you. You know, they're wanting to invest in you as a person, sadly, not for your personality, but because they want it to lead on to other things. Because if it's just your personality, why do they need to buy you so many drinks? Do you know what I mean? It's like, they don't. But a lot of the time they expect to get someone drunk, but they can't. I don't drink alcohol. But even the guy, like the guy I dated, the heterosexual guy that I dated the year before last, he even admitted to me, he said, oh, I buy women a meal, take them out for a meal for an hour, and then I expect sex with them, and they give me sex, but I never see them again. I thought, I'm not surprised you never see them again and get a second date. He goes, I take them on a date, buy them a meal, then they have sex with me. But, you know, it's just disgusting. It's nearly prostitution, isn't it, really? But there you go. 22. This is really important. They are keen for you to move in together quickly. Very keen for you to move in together quickly. So if you've just got in a relationship with someone, or maybe you're not even in it yet with the person, you know, you're just talking about potential relationship, they're like, oh yeah, they're already starting to make plans to move in with you. That's usually because they want more physical contact with you and they want sex with you. Either that, or they're very, very super insecure people and they can't actually be on their own for a while, which they should always be before being in a relationship with you and living with you. You know, you need to spend time getting to know each other as friends first over a very, very long period of time before you start talking about, you know, like actually moving in together. Maybe you know, it's quite normal for two people in the beginning to actually set the intention saying, well, because I don't want to live with someone. So it's quite normal for someone to say, well, I do want to live with someone, I don't want to live with them, if you're talking about needs in a relationship. But if someone you've just met and you've only known them for 3 weeks and they're already starting to talk about moving in with you, they're either a very abusive person, which they might be, or they're after sex, or both, you know? So you've got to be very, very super careful with this, you know? I'm not saying everyone's like this. Some people can move in together very quickly and they can live happily ever after. It does happen, you know? Some people get married really quickly and, you know, they can live happily ever after. I know this in my family, actually. Well, I've known, I don't know the people, well, it's to do, it's on my mum's side, but, you know, so, you know, it does happen. But in general, if someone's keen for you to move in together, it's either they're an abusive person, trying to push you into something quickly, or they're trying to get you to move in because they want sex with you, because they want a very deep physical relationship. And they can't get the sex they need if they're not seeing you very often, can they? If they're living with you, they can get sex more readily available because you're sleeping with them in the morning. They can wake you up for sex in the morning, wake you up in the middle of the night for sex. You know, is there a norm in the UK like sex on the third date? I don't know, because I'm not interested in sex, Ivan, so I don't know what is normal. But in the realms of heterosexual relationships, you know, some people have sex, don't they, on the first date? Some people have it after a certain amount of dates. Dating coaches tell people to make sure they wait, but you know, I don't have sex. I've never had sex outside of a relationship, so I've never had a date and had sex with a person that I've dated. I've always been in a relationship with someone, if I've ever had sex in the past with them, you know. So I've been on dates with, from 2000 and, when was it, 2012 to 2014, I was dating heterosexual guys, foreign, younger than me, 21 to 28 years. I never had sex with any of them, even though they wanted it with me, you know, never. I was dating them, I wasn't in a relationship with them, even though they were aesthetically very, very, very attractive guys, even though they were from different countries. You know, I don't do that type of thing. I've never had a one night stand. I've never slept around or anything like that. Even before I knew I was asexual, I wasn't that type of person. So I'd only do it if I was in a committed relationship with someone, and then theoretically with me, they should be. But, you know, a lot of people who aren't asexual tend to go off with and have affairs if you're not giving them sex, which is disgusting in my opinion. Right, so 23 is very similar. They will ask you to sleep over theirs. So maybe you're not living together yet, but they'll ask you to sleep over theirs, or they sleep over yours, especially when they haven't known you long. So this means they want sex with you. So whereas asexuals could probably have a sleepover with someone and it not be sex, we could hang out, watch a movie, have some popcorn, especially if you were to get into a romantic relationship or even a queer platonic relationship. You know, you might like want to go over there to actually watch a movie and enjoy popcorn. Whereas if it's a sexual person involved, you know that a movie and popcorn usually means movie, popcorn, sex. Not really much movie, sex. You know, that's pretty much what's on their mind when they're saying that. So if they're saying, "Oh, let me come over to yours," it means let me come over to yours and have sex with you. That's what it means, you know. So, you know, even if you're on dates with a person who's sexual, you know, that's what they're going to be like. They're going to usually want to try and get you alone, like I said earlier, as soon as possible. And they're going to want to get you alone in a room. And it's not for just being friends, let's have a good time and hang out, like a lot of asexuals want it to be. It's because hanging out to them means let's have sex. That's what it means. So be super, super careful, because, you know, that is basically what it is. So, you know, there's no other two ways to put it, bluntly, you know, like, you'd have to totally insist you weren't going to have sex with them. And sex will still be on their mind, usually. So, I mean, obviously, you can have a few friends that are sexuals that won't have sex with you. But taking everything into consideration with their behaviour and the way the person is, if they're on a date with you and they want to go back to yours, that means sex. If they're on a date with you and they say, come back to mine, that means they want sex. Even if they say they don't, right? I went on this worst date ever, right, with this guy. Really bad date. The worst date ever. I went to the cinema with him. He was a total prat. Excuse my language. He had his shades on. going to the cinema. Like, we were waiting to get our tickets, and he had his sunglasses on going, oh, do I look good looking? I mean, if a guy has to ask me if I think he's good looking, he obviously doesn't think he's good looking himself, because he's insecure, because he can't even think he's good looking. Yeah, he was a guy that had such a big ego that thought he was so good looking, even though he's asking me, am I good looking? You know, it's like, I have come to the cinema to watch a movie, not to observe and say, hey, I'm with this really good looking guy. He's so amazingly good looking, everyone. I'm with the guy to just try and enjoy the movie. But no, I didn't actually enjoy the movie, because it was that much with him. Well, the movie was quite good in comparison to his company, but it was just a jerk. Afterwards, he was just saying horrible stuff. And despite the fact the date was rubbish, and I think he knew it was bad because we couldn't agree on anything, he still invited me back to his place afterwards, which I didn't accept. I'm thinking to myself, why would you want me to come back to your place when we don't even get on? Obviously, even though we don't get on, he still wanted sex, you know, because just because you don't get on with someone, you know, some people like that, it turns them on more. If you cause, you know, even if you're not intentionally to cause friction, if there's friction between the two people, some people who are sexual get a thrill out of that. It'll be like a tension, and it'll help to create their sexual energy. It'll help to, you know, sexual energy sometimes requires a degree of push and pull, like tension. And so that's why some asexuals get pursued bisexuals, because, you know, we want to go away from that, but to them it's like it's a challenge. Do you see what I'm saying? So just because they, you know, you might have had a bad date with them, if they say go back to yours, they'll still want sex with you. So be very, very careful of that. And so if they ask to sleep over yours, you to sleep over theirs, don't think it'll be a normal sleepover that would be like, you know, like an asexual sleepover where we just hang out together. It'll be sex, right? 24, they accidentally on purpose miss their last train or bus, so they need to stay over yours. Because what are they going to do? They're helpless now. They've missed their last train. They're going to have to wait like 6 hours to get the next one the next day in the morning. So they're going to really need to stay at yours, aren't they? Because you are dating them, and, you know, you don't want to see them out on the streets, do you? So, you know, they've got nowhere else to go. So you take them back to yours and in your bed, right? You know, and I've had guys do this to me before. I have to admit, one of the guys that did it, I was very attracted to. So a little part of me wanted him to stay over anyway, but not to have sex with him. But obviously he wanted sex. So he didn't end up coming back to mine. He missed his train, and he didn't want sex. He kept going on about it for hours, and I just like, no. And I just stayed awake nearly the whole night while he was asleep next to me. And then got up the next day, and he said, I really enjoyed my time with you. I want to see you again. Took me to work, was kissing me. And then I didn't see him again after that, and he wasn't interested in me. He was just lying because I wouldn't have sex with him. So it's really horrible. It does happen. You know, and it's disgusting, but it does. It's a very manipulative tactic that you use, you know. It's like, well, I've got nowhere else to go. It's a bit like, well, you've got to put me up now, because what else am I supposed to do? And like, if you're a kind-hearted person as well, they pull on your heartstrings, especially if you do fancy and find the person attractive and you're interested in potential relationship with them. It's like the relationship just goes whoom, which is what they want. They want their sex, whoom. It's like, okay, so we've gone from just being dating here to actually end up in bed together, which is what you want because you want sex. And in my case, they don't get sex. And I haven't been in bed with a guy for years, thank God. I'm glad I found out I was asexual and I don't have to put up with that rubbish anymore. I haven't been in bed with a guy since, what is it? 2014, I think last time was. Or was it 2013? One of those times, I can't remember. Last years ago, it's 2019 now. And the final one, 25. This is one that's a bit more subtle, okay? They asked to go to the cinema with you, right? So they arranged to go to the cinema with you. You both like the cinema, right? Cinema, and, you know, it's one of my favourite things to do. But when they're in the cinema, they specifically want you to sit in the back row. Now, if you're not familiar with what the back row means, the back row, you go specifically book up when you're at the cinema to make out. Making out as in kissing, touching all over the body and all that type of thing. That's what the back row is known for in the cinema. I haven't been in the back row for absolute years, and you know, and I don't want to go back there, you know. I'm not going to say that I don't like kissing in the cinema, because I do actually, if I'm in a romantic relationship or on a date, you know, towards a potential relationship. More likely if I'm in a relationship, then, you know, I like you know, I usually go in the front rows, and I like crouching down so no one can really see me, and then I'm like kiss the person so that the seats are above our heads and we're crouching down kissing each other, and pop your head back up again and watch the film. So I am cute and cuddly in that way, and romantic, so I do like that. But if they say the back row, oh yeah, if they say, oh yeah, we'll go out to the cinema, yeah, we'll have a really good time, and where do you want to sit? Oh, let's sit in the back row, especially if they're doing this with their eyebrows, with their eyes wide open. It means that they, you know, want to make out with you because they're sexual and they really want sex with you. So don't think that if they ask you to the cinema, it might be very sweet and innocent, because they might be wanting to make out with you the whole time, and then for after the cinema, it leads to having sex with them. So just be very, very careful, because where asexuals will want to do loads of activities with no sexual intercourse going on with it, a lot of sexuals will want to do activities plus leading to sex. Activities plus sex. Activities plus sex, or just the sex, because really they don't want to do the activity. The activity is a cover-up for them wanting sex with you. You know, if it's like, come and watch a movie, do you think you're going to be watching a movie there? It's like, oh, the movies, yeah, I've got 3 out. I'm not sure you want to watch, but let's just kiss and then have sex. You know, it's sad, because, you know, I love kissing, and sometimes I'm not so interested in the movie if I've watched it before. I want to kiss the guy, but I'm not interested in sex. So I think it's very difficult when you are a person who loves romance, kissing and cuddling, and you've got all this behaviour from sexuals that's going on, and their intention is just not the same as yours. And that's why I did this video. I wanted to make a really helpful, insightful and useful video for you, so that if you are going out with sexual friends, particularly the over-friendly sexual friends towards you, if you are going on dates with sexuals or spending a lot of time alone with sexuals, you know that a lot of them, you know, what to look out for. You know, if you haven't watched this video from the beginning, it's a long one, but it was done intentionally long. There's 25, well, there's more than 25 really, because the first one's about 3 ones, but you know, it's intentionally done to be a long video, so that you can go over it again and again if you want to, and you can, you know, you can find out exactly what sexuals are like and what their intentions are, so that you can protect yourself a bit more. You can at least go in with your eyes wide open if you are dating sexuals, and realise, you know, this is to lead on to sex. This is what they're after. So you have a degree of control in your mind, because you know what's going on. You have a degree of safety, of protecting yourself, you know. And, you know, just by being informed, you feel more in control of your life, you know, even though if you know what they're doing, if you're happy with what they're doing, fine, you know. But if you're not, then at least you've got some sort of reference point as to what actually is likely to be going on in the situation. Obviously, everyone's different. You know, you've got to look at the body language, the tone, the eyes, the facial expressions, you know. But be very careful, because some of them will just make out they want to be your friend when they want a whole lot more with you. You know, and you have to see all the red flags, which when you fancy someone, if you're asexual and you really romantically attracted to someone, you just have to look at it and say, if this person got good intention for me or not, and look at the red flags and don't ignore them. Thank you, Heather, so much. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you found it useful, helpful, insightful in any single way whatsoever, please give this video a thumbs up. It does help these videos to get higher up in the search engine rankings. It does help get more eyeballs on this channel, but also on asexuality. It helps people to, you know, to avoid situations that could potentially be physically dangerous for them. Or to get into sexual situations that they really don't want to be in. So that's why I did this video tonight and put it together for you. So do give this video a share. Share this video with anyone you think may benefit, a friend, a relative, you know, even some people who are sexual, not asexual, might benefit from this, because some sexual people, they still don't want to have loads and loads of people sexual, you know, after sex all the time with them, because it can become annoying for them. They still want to do other things beside it, you know, especially some people that are not so sexual, even though they are sexual in orientation, you know. They just might, you know, they might not want to attract this type of person that's so sexually orientated, because it's no good for them long term. So share it with anyone you think may benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the great big bell icon so that you get notified every time I go live like now or post a new video. Thank you, Heather, for watching. Thank you. Thank you for Ivan for watching. Thank you, Michael, for watching. Thank you, everyone else who's tuned in tonight. I really appreciate you. Lots of love. And oh yeah, this is a picture from my new printer. I got a new one because the first one wasn't as good a quality as it should be. So that's me when I got my new printer down. Great face, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. Bye, Ivan. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Love everyone. Bye. Bye, Heather. Bye. Take care. Bye. Nice to see you. Until next time, embrace your